We are doing the Welcome Back to School with Handshake webinar. I'm Kimberly Ryan, the Assistant Director here for Career Services, and we're going to go through how you can best use Handshake to help your career planning while you're in school, and of course job searching, which could be internships or part-time jobs when you're in school, and of course after school, full-time jobs and beyond. As an alumni, you have this service and tool to use throughout your career. We're going to go over as well some updates for 2020 and 2021. There are some new things with Handshake that we're going to go over today. So to start with, you'll notice our dashboard that you're seeing here. We have some really easy boxes that Handshake shows you. So if you want help with something, it's very simple. Do you want to find a job? You can click on jobs. If you want to check out what employers are maybe hiring in your field, this is a great block to choose. If you want to connect with students or alumni and be able to network, this is a great place to be as well. There's also some career paths, which is some great background knowledge that you can learn about your field, like what's the salary, what things do I need to know about the field I'm going into. And events, of course, are a great way to connect with employers and other people through our school, and we do have some external events that we'll go over today. And then lastly, the Career Center. So this is where if you'd like to make an appointment, meet with one of our counselors, do something with our office, this is also where you would go. So really easy tiles for you to pick from. And then below that, there's a really nice recommended sections based on what major you have. So everything that's seen here is going to be custom tailored to what you've entered on your profile or your interests. So we're going to start there and show you the very basics of Handshake. Is you need a profile, and your profile is always going to be based here in the circle. If you've uploaded a photo, you'll see your photo. If not, you'll usually see initials or an avatar, but this is where you would go. So to start off with though, if you're wondering, how do I even get to Handshake? There is right at the top the URL, and you can write that down and you can use that from anywhere if you want to do it. It's fit.joinhandshake.com. If you're ever lost or you forget that or you don't remember what the URL is, you could always get it from our main, just fit.edu, our career page. We have a link right here where you can just click on activate your Handshake account. That way you can go straight from there. It's also loaded and paused, so there's a couple of places you can get to it in case you forget the URL. But once you do log in, it's going to prompt you to do your normal Trax login, so you don't have to make a new password. It'll be connected to everything you use to log into PAWS and all our other university systems. And once you do, it's first going to prompt you to go through what's called some career interests. So it's going to ask you a series of questions, and this is exactly what it's going to look like. And you can skip that survey, and a lot of students do skip this to begin with, and you can always come back to it so you can see how this is still blank because, this is a practice account here that has not been filled in. But the more you customize your interests and what you're looking for, the better that home screen will be, and it will show you better jobs and bring things to you based on this. And then secondly, it's the profile. So right up here where it says My Profile, this is where it's going to prompt you to add everything about your academic and professional self. So we have at the top, you could add basically a little summary statement. They call it their journey. So if you're looking for a very specific type of internship job, maybe you're still evaluating what your specialty is going to be, that's where you can put that in here so that if you decide to keep your profile public, and you can see right here, there's a box that shows you, are you public or not? That's where employers can search you. So they'll search for terms based on your major, based on perhaps some of your background, organizations, or even we have an area towards the bottom for skills. Those are the areas that employers search. Lately, with everything going on with COVID, more employers are actually using this tool where they search for student profiles and message students individually than actually posting jobs. And that's just because they want to see who's really using the system and who's going to reach out and talk to them. So if you want to get noticed by employers, we do say, yes, you can make your profile public, and then they would be able to search for these things. So this is a prospective student, so we have not filled anything in because this is just a blank account. If this student wanted to get noticed, they have done the very basic here, which is just showing their major. They put in what school year they are, and they have one work experience from on campus. Now, if they wanted to fill this even more, adding any organizations they're part of, courses, projects would be great as well. And then, of course, down here, the skills is very important. So any skills that you have, you can add them right here. Now, you can upload documents such as projects, resume, of course, would be great to show off. And the resume does have a nice tool where if you upload your resume, you'll notice right at the top, it'll fill in all of the things on your resume for you in these sections so you don't have to double type. That's a really nice feature. So that resume can be stored here so you can use it to apply to jobs, and then any other documents that you'd like to upload that might be useful. Sometimes employers may ask for unofficial transcripts, things like that, but that is less common. The resume is what you would need. So once you've loaded that and you have everything that you would need here so employers can notice you, you can of course go on the proactive approach and go search yourself. So if you're not on the home page, there's some tabs at the top that you can use to navigate around. And jobs right here, of course, is what we know students want to spend the most time with. So it has a lot of filters and tools here that you can use to search for jobs. So right now, it's showing you right now, there's over 4,000 jobs on Handshake. And Handshake, just so you know, is a private database for universities. So if you are seeing jobs here, it means that we have connected with them and that they have specifically reached out to our school to say we want to advertise and recruit students at your school. So it's not going to have every job that's available right now. However, it does have a lot of jobs, and specifically jobs that maybe only students could see, or jobs that are particular to our school. So it make it actually a little bit more of an exclusive place to look for a job. So always we recommend start here, and then after we've covered how to search here with Handshake, I'm going to show you a mega search engine that will find you any public job, even the ones that are not on this private database. So let's first start with search terms and search filters. So here you could use just a basic keyword search. If you know that I want to find, maybe it's an electrical, we'll say electrical engineering, I'm just putting electrical for now, but internship. I could just say I want an electrical internship right here, quick box, very simple. From there, you can see there's about 66 internships. However, I didn't put on a location, which is usually pretty important to most students. So they do have an area here where you could say, let's put in a town, a zip code. If you want to be local, for instance, you have Melbourne, Florida, you would pick, and you can tell them right here how far you're willing to travel. This is 50 miles. You could lower it, raise it, decide how far you're willing to go. And you can see in our area, we do have 3 that are within driving distance. And then you'll notice one even has a fresh label, which just means it was just posted. So right now, the beginning of fall, this is about typical what I would expect. In the beginning of fall, there's not as many internships being posted right now. We do expect to see a bigger amount get posted, likely September through November, actually, for if you are a STEM or an engineering major, is a high time for internships to be posted for next summer, because a lot of those companies start early to help with clearances and background checks. So if you were in any of those majors, I would come back between September and November time period and keep a regular watch, or I can even show you right here, you could do a save search so you don't have to constantly log in. If you click save search, right now it tells you right at the bottom it created a job alert. And you can edit that job alert anytime. So when I hit edit, it showed me I was searching for electrical internships in Melbourne and I want to get notified these 3 ways. Now you can decide, hey, I don't want to get anything to my phone. I'm fine with just email or in-app, which would mean here in Handshake. You can decide you want that daily, weekly, and you decide. So that's a great tool that you can use so you don't have to constantly log in all the time. And that's something I'd recommend. Now, if you want to do a little more of an advanced search, that was pretty basic, and we kept it basic because there's 3 jobs. There's not much more you really need to go into detail. However, if you wanted to start fresh and maybe you were in a field that has a lot of jobs posted, especially as you get closer to summer for internships, is when you're going to start seeing lots of postings. you would then want to maybe do a little bit more advanced. So here where it says all filters, you're seeing more advanced features. So if you only want to find a paid internship, this is where you could do it. If you want to make sure, am I qualified? And I don't want to weed through lots of postings that I'm not even qualified and they won't consider me, this is a great tool. So where it says, in this case, this example student has computer science as their major. It talks about their sophomore year. They haven't listed their graduation date, so that's something they could update in their profile. And then, of course, work authorization and GPA. Now, work authorization is helpful to show employers if you're authorized to work. It very much refers to your citizenship often. So a lot of the defense contractors that hire from our school, they require citizenship. So that would be a great place to make sure that you show that off. If you're an international, you are still authorized to work with your CPT. However, you would need to indicate in this next section that you are probably looking for someone who will sponsor or accept that CPT, because you will need sponsorship in the future. So just keep that in mind for an international. There's that right there. And then we have questions from someone already asking about, will employers understand that you are a full-time student? And if it's on your profile that you are currently in school, majority of employers will expect you likely to be full-time, especially if you're undergraduate. But there's some truth that if you were a master's student or beyond, they might want to know if you're part-time or not. A lot of times in job applications, you can indicate if you're able to work full-time or not. And I'm not sure if that's maybe more so what you're asking, if you wanted to separate full-time versus part-time, which are really good filters here. I would only apply for a job that you're able to fill. So if you only can give part-time, then only apply to part-time jobs, and here you have full-time. So there's a lot of other tools here. I'm not going to go through all the industry job functions and majors, but you could search by your major. If you don't want to put in a keyword, just search by any job that will hire you. And then you know that because the employer says they'll take your major. You could do that. You'll also see their suggestions, which noticing right now, it's a really wide variety. And that's because this is a computer science major. So even though you're seeing a wide variety here, I guarantee you all of these people wanted computer science technicians. So that's why they're listed here. A really good label though that I want to show off that's new for this year, for 2020, is the remote work label. So you'll notice when I X out of the advanced search, it doesn't come up as a quick search button, which unfortunately means you have to remember to dig here. But if you wanted to find any internship, and I'm going to take off the location because again, if we're remote, you could do that from anywhere. But if you wanted to see all remote positions, you could use that label, put in remote work, and now you could see there's about 87 jobs that are listed when I close that under the internship tag. So that's a good amount of remote internships. Now keep in mind, I didn't put a filter for my major or job type, so you would need to probably add that extra feature based on your specific details of what you're looking for. And you could see it's a wide variety from, it looks like a lot of computer science, social media, sales, a bunch of different types of remote opportunities you could use there. So that is the overview of Handshake search. I want to also show you, I talked about there's another search tool you can use. It's a mega search engine. You would need to go under Career Center. So Career Center is where you can make an appointment, and we'll come back to that to show you how you can make an appointment. But under Resources, this is where we list out some other things we provide for your job search and planning. And you'll notice that there's quite a few different things here that are listed that you could be using. And Career Shift, though, is the very top one. Career Shift is the mega search engine. So Career Shift will let you search any public job versus Handshake, which is just private. It's just a private database with only the jobs that have reached out to our particular school. To make an account, you will need to click that button here. You will need to sign up with your FIT email. It's a service we provide only for students and alumni. And so you will have to actually use that FIT email to get verified. And once you have, you'll be able to sign in. You're going to be able to put down whatever password you want for this account. It will not be linked to your tracks because it is an outside service. But once you have that, you can log in anytime. Waiting for this to load, it's taking a little bit, but there's a large dashboard, and once it loads, I will show you. There's been a lot of updates and changes to this service. So if you've used it in the past, you'll notice there's a lot of updates. This is a good example though right now where it's taking a little bit longer to load because it's an outside service. Perhaps there might be some times where it might take a little longer to load to the system. And of course, because you have that extra layer of having an external password, you might want to double check that you did your password correctly, which I will go ahead and do just in case as well. You never know. Try that one more time. And there it is. So in my case, I do think the password was slowing it down. As far as all the updates, you'll notice right away with CareerShift, they're already telling us right here, there's a lot of updates they've been continuously doing, and they typically will just sit and make an announcement. So you can see this was today on August 24th. They're telling us they're letting you bulk save from search results, which, again, if you look at this, it's saying you can save multiple items at the same time for your job, contact, and results. And I'll show you what they mean by that in the search box. So I'm going to skip all of their updates because I'm actually going to show you all the ones that they have. To start off with, the job search here is right on the side. You'll notice they have a place for contacts and companies. So they let you search 3 different things, whether you want to maybe look up specific jobs, people would be contacts, or company. The company search comes in real handy if you are in a niche field where there's very few employers. So for instance, astrophysics, that is a very niche field. We know that everyone knows NASA, but beyond that, in terms of research employers, you're probably going to need to search that by company to see what research entities are around your state or wherever you're looking, because it's such a small field and very focused field. So that would be a good search tool for you to use. But if you're going to go straight to jobs, you go right here on the side and click on search. And then it allows you to do very similar to Handshake, a keyword search and some advanced criteria down here. So if we did the same thing we did before and we look for electrical, you could do engineer, you can see there's some other terms I already have saved from entry level, technician, things like that. But specifically, we want to look for an internship and compare the difference between this and Handshake. So if you go to the advanced search right here, you're going to click on for that, and then you'll see right here towards the bottom a job type opens up where you can search internship. Now, just like Handshake, they let you search here. You can search by state, a city, or a zip code will tell you how far you're willing to go. So if you wanted to put in Melbourne and then tell them same thing, you're willing to go that 50 miles, similar to what we have in the other one, you could do that. Some of these other ones you choose to use, but they're not always the best filters. So I usually say start with just the basics, which we use, and then click on search. And you can see we have a different internship that came up, not the one that was in Handshake. It's with Leonardo DRS, but you'll notice they only had one. So in this case, Handshake actually beat out CareerShift, and that's likely because it's not a great time, like I said, for internships. If I were to take off the internship keyword maybe and say, let's look for a part-time job, you could see the difference now where we are getting a lot more results. And keep in mind, this is near Melbourne, almost 61 jobs found near Melbourne. So that's a good amount for this area. And you're gonna notice though, I put in electrical. So electrical is a very broad term. If we're not talking about engineering, we need to specify that because it's coming up with anything that has electrical to do in either the company name or perhaps somewhere in the description. So some of these will make sense and some will not. So that's why using the keywords is helpful, where you would need to put in engineer would help to put that term in. And now when you do that, you can see there's only one part-time job for electrical engineer, because in that field, which requires a degree, you would expect a whole lot more full-time jobs. And you could see in our area right now, there's about 88 full-time jobs with that code. So this is a great search, and you notice that new item for CareerShift where it said you could do bulk save. It's talking about here. You can now select which jobs you want to come back to and look at. and do a bulk action here and save them all to a folder or wherever you've specified. And that's a nice tool with CareerShift, is it lets you create all these folders on the side so you can actively keep track of your job search. It also allows you to save your job search. So just like Handshake, you click the save button, you could call this your electrical engineer search. You know, this was full-time, so you probably want to put that, and you could do the same thing. Have alerts sent so you don't have to always log in. So that's a really great tool. If you go back also to the dashboard, the overview right here of all CareerShift, another thing I really like to use now is the newest tool called the COVID impact. So if you want to know right now what companies are hiring, what are on a freeze, what are having layoffs, this is a great tool because internships are highly affected by COVID. And if they're having layoffs or a hiring freeze, they likely will not be doing internships in the near future. So if you want to look up a company you're interested, you could use the filters here, or you could go down the list. That's up to you. So this is a helpful tool. So that's a great resource. We do highly recommend. You'll notice that under the resource list, we have quite a few others. ONET is a great career exploration tool if you want to look up salaries, you want to find out, you know, maybe you want to do a career test and see if you picked you know, the right major. This has a really great career test I recommend. College Roll Jobs, if you're looking for a job on campus, this is the tool you would use. Going Global is great for finding jobs anywhere in the world. So if you want to see other countries and what they offer, you want to know what are the cultural norms for maybe like what resume format do they use in another country? Do they use a resume or a CV? Those are questions you would need to know in that country, and that will explain it. This also is a great tool for internationals who want to, they might want to have a job in the US, but they need to find out who does sponsors or does visas for internationals. This has a great visa database that I recommend as well. There's also, depending on your program, you might have major specific resources. So this is a very major specific resource for researchers that fall into this major category. We have some resume resources, which is great. So if you want to start putting together your resume, this is something I would check out, and then make an appointment to have your resume reviewed. And then we have recorded workshops. So what we're doing today is a webinar. If you're ever, you know, you can't make a webinar or you didn't catch all of it, we're starting to add more and more here. So this is continuing to grow if you want to see some past workshops and webinars. And then at the very bottom, we do have local part-time jobs. So we know a lot of students, you know, if you did not get a job on campus, but you still would like to work locally while you're in school, this is a great resource that gets updated just to see. These are all usually within, these ones right now are almost all within 5 miles of our school. So those are some good part-time jobs you can look into. So we went through the jobs, we went through the resources. Events is another thing I want to point out with Handshake, is we have a lot of really great events that you can get involved with. And this is something you can be doing even as a freshman. You don't need to be a junior or a senior to go talk to an employer. These events are great places for you to start asking your questions and getting ready for when you are closer to that stage, so you know what to expect and you've already done your research with these employers. So you're noticing here, we already have some big name employers that are having some events. So if these are, you know, employers in your field, I recommend you go to those to these sessions and learn about them. Ask them questions such as, you know, what are their cutoffs for internships? Do they take sophomores or juniors? Do they have certain requirements? You'll learn all of that in these employer events and get to know what to expect, and also get ready. If they tell you there's certain skills they really look for in students, then you know what you need to be doing now to get ready if you want to get hired by them. So keep looking at this because it gets updated regularly. As more employers decide to make events, they will be here. For fall of 2020, all of these events are virtual. We will not be having any in-person events, unfortunately. I'm not sure what next year will look like, if we will offer any in-person, but at this point, everything is virtual. So like we were doing today, you'll have usually some sort of Zoom format where you can log in and interact with employers, and sometimes group sessions with students, and sometimes they might even have individual meetings with employers. So check here. You'll also notice as we scroll down, because we have quite a few different, some of them are career like webinars to help you learn how to write a resume or get ready for a career fair. because this is what I want to point out at the bottom is we do have our Florida Tech Fall virtual. This year will be a virtual career expo. And this is where you can meet many employers all in one day. It will be online, so it's very important that you register to get a spot, because you will have to register to get a basically meeting with each of these different employers at their virtual booth. You can see right now the employers who've signed up so far. If you want to keep seeing who is added, you'll have to come back and check where it says show all employers. We have a really great prep guide if you want to know more about the fair and what to expect. So you can check that out, and just know registration, very important, so make sure you register in advance. There's also a Q&A section in Handshake where you can ask questions of not just employers like we just talked about. You can ask employers at events, but here you could ask students. So if you want to know what was the interview like at Google, you could find it right here and ask students who actually interviewed at Google, and they can tell you what their experience was. There's a lot of questions, so there's a search box where you could already search questions that have been asked. If it's not been asked, you can use this box right here. Ask your own question. Ask students, not only from our school. These questions go to any student that would like to answer from any Handshake school. So right now, I think there's definitely a few thousand universities that are using Handshake. So you would have access to speak to lots of students from different schools. So this is a great tool to use to get some information, possibly do some networking. And same here on the student tab, if you do want to look for instance, have there been any students at my school that have worked at Google? You could search here to find out, or you could search for students at any school that have worked or done things that you're looking for. You'll notice it lets you search alumni, or you can search current students. You can pick by university, or if you want it to only be your own university, they have that filter, and then you can search by previous employer. Now keep in mind, this is a networking tool, and only students who have said they would like to be public are here. So you have this opportunity. If you want to network and be contacted by students, you can make your profile public to students, and that is your choice. You would find that setting under your profile name up here and go to settings and privacy, and you get to determine, do you want to be public to students and employers, just employers, or public to no one? That is completely your choice to do right under settings and privacy. So that is an overview of a lot of the tools here on Handshake. Career Center is what I would like to end with right here. If you notice, we talked a little bit about the resources and things we have going on at our school, but the appointments is what I'd like to close with to show you. You can make an appointment with our counselors. Even during COVID, we're doing virtual appointments. You would need to click on schedule a new appointment. You're noticing all we're offering right now is online. You do have the ability to use your phone or a webcam, whichever you prefer, if you'd like to do sound or webcam only. And you can see we offer quite a few different types of appointments. So if you need help with something, you can make an appointment. We can go further into your specific situation.